Scientology could be called, well, you could call it a religion of religions.
Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to the Indie Scientology podcast. I'm your host, Andy Nolch, the Space Cowboy, and these are secret closed-door briefings about vital information about Scientology and the world that you need to know. And they're mainly for free zone Scientologists, but anyone's welcome, and I will use words so that everyone can understand. Now, this is a very, very important briefing. It's probably the best briefing ever, really, because it's data that's just so deep. It's like a massive, I guess you could say massive conspiracy, but it's information that's really, really huge. It's just epically deep data, and it's about Earth being a prison planet. It's about who you are. It's just super, super deep. It's data that you need to know. So listen to the whole of this thing. It's very important that you listen to this, because it's like, this isn't some silly cat video on YouTube, you know, or some video where someone's calling someone an OSA agent. You know, it's important to know that Justin Craig might be an OSA agent, but it's not really like super essential. But what's really essential is knowing who the hell you are and what the hell's going on here on Earth. It really enables you to orient yourself and all this sort of stuff. Now, L. Ron Hubbard, the creator of Scientology, had an idea, had a theory. I don't think he put it forth as a theory, but had an idea that Earth is like a prison planet and that we are souls, right? Spirits, thetans, something that's not physical, right? We're like pieces of thought, and we get born into, we go into a body like at birth, or just before birth, or just after birth, or whatever. We go into a baby body, and we live our lives, and then we die, right? And then as spirits, we go off. But there's like a trap that sucks in the spirit, wipes its memory, and like trains it to go, like literally commands it to go back into a baby body, right? And this sort of mind technology we know exists, right? You can take someone on the street, you can abduct them, right? You can give them, like the CIA can do this, can give them like brainwashing and pain drug hypnosis, and just fuck with their mind and command them to shoot Obama. They can do that, right? You can literally do that. You can do it where you install these commands into this person's mind, you know, shoot Obama or whatever, and they need drugs to do it and all this sort of stuff. And then they let the person out, right? And then when the person sees the trigger, because usually there's a trigger that makes the person want to go and shoot Obama or whatever, like they put in a trigger. So like maybe the trigger was a swimming pool or something. So then when Obama has his special event in 2 weeks' time and he's speaking at a swimming pool, the guy like hears about it, and they make sure the guy hears about it, like, or something like that, and he sees it, and literally he goes, oh, and he goes into the mind control, and he goes and he shoots and tries to kill Obama, right? Because like our minds can get taken over. Right? This is seriously true stuff. Now, I don't know if everyone's mind can get taken over, but I know that definitely some like a certain part of the population can get hypnotized, and you can hypnotize them to go and kill people, right? So basically, we know that mind control technology exists. So what about on an alien level or a spiritual level, which is like a higher advanced level that isn't normal everyday Earth that we don't understand? What if people in these realms, right, whatever the fuck they are, right, spirits or whatever, they could be aliens, or they could be like balls of light, or just life forms that we don't even know. What if they have worked out the exact same mind control technology, and when they see a spirit walking around, they essentially abduct the spirit, right, wipe its memory, right, because that's another thing as well, besides training someone to go and shoot someone, they can also just wipe someone's memory if they wanted to, right? It happened to the astronauts. They came back from the moon, and then they had their memory wiped, and then they had false memories put in. Trust me, this is serious shit. There's all this evidence for it, right? So what if the aliens have this technology, and it's some sort of electrical technology, right? And they create like a ball of light or like a tunnel of light, and it attracts the spirit. The spirit goes, oh, what's this? And hears pretty music and goes, oh, what's this? Oh, I'm going to go towards this. Oh, it's God. Oh. And they go towards the light, right? And then they get hit with this brainwashing session and their memory gets wiped, and then they get commanded to go back into a baby body or go back to Earth or something, right? Because it could be, right, that, and you learn about this on the OT levels, by the way, it could be that, you know, there's not enough bodies for everyone. So some people are just like spirits that are just hanging around bodies. Do you ever think of that? Because like you think about the whole prison planet or whatever, and it's like, well, you get the spirit leaves a body at death, and then it gets brainwashed, and then it comes back to Earth. What if there's not a baby body for it to go into? What if it just hangs around on Earth, and then we get ghosts, don't we? You know what I mean? Or maybe ghosts are people who have not gone up towards the light. Do you know what I mean? And actually it seems like that's what it is. Like the ghosts and stuff are people who are died and they're still stuck in, like they can't get over the fact that they died and haven't moved on to other things and they haven't gotten sucked into the light. So they're just hanging around like retards. Right? Now, so anyway, but it does seem that what if two spirits go into one body at birth? Do you know what I mean? And one of them's like more retarded or subservient and doesn't even really control the body much, and it's just there, and it thinks it's the only spirit there or something. Like, I don't know, this is deep, complex stuff. But anyway, the idea that Hubbard talked about was that you get brainwashed to go back into a body at birth, and then you go back into the body and you get born again. And so then you just keep on staying here on Earth over and over and over again. And you do Scientology to advance yourself spiritually and to go through these memories and these brainwashing experiences and stuff. People literally recount these memories in session, right? And actually, it's a good... Yeah, I'm pretty sure people recount these memories in session. Anyway, and then you're just stuck here, and Earth is a prison planet. And so this idea isn't just in Scientology, it's also out there in the New Age movement, you could call it, right? And people are onto it, and people are like, yeah, so it's a really big, deep conspiracy, you know, are we spirits, right? And are we spirits that are getting trapped here into bodies, just dying and then living again, right? And it kind of relates a bit to the Matrix theory that we're living in a computer game, because the Matrix theory is that we are living in an advanced alien computer game, basically, and that we're trapped in here, right? So what if they're almost the same thing? They sound very, very similar, right? Because essentially, you know, you die, and then maybe there is a window of opportunity to leave the Matrix computer game, but then they use their electronics to suck you in or whatever, and then train you to go back into the Matrix again, right? But it's interesting. You know, you hear of near-death experiences, and I heard of this near-death experience where somebody went up towards heaven or whatever, and they're like, oh, it's so amazing, and then they met Jesus, right? Yeah, Jesus, or something like that. And then Jesus said, no, you need to go back to Earth. It's not your time to die or something. And then the person goes, said something, and then Jesus laughed. And then the person was telling this story, right? And then they were like, then they said, oh, then I can't remember, and I just woke up back here. So they had, when they were going through their near-death experience, they had a point where they just couldn't remember anything else as to what happened. And then they came back here. And it's kind of like, it's kind of strange, but the person wanted to come, I think they wanted to come back here or whatever. And so it was like they were talked back into coming back here, but it's just, it's strange. It's interesting how it works, you know. It's like, whoa. There's a lot of evidence for this, right? And that's why I'm doing this video, because it's like, it's not just a, I guess, a theory. I mean, it's like there's a fair bit of evidence for this, right? And the Farsight Institute, which are remote viewers, right? They basically are like top psychics. They investigated this, right? Because they'd heard the theory, and that they wanted to see, well, what data can we get? the remote viewing data can we get on this, right? And they have got a video out, and you can go to the website, and I'll put the link in the comment section, and you become a member, I think, to watch it. And I'm going to play the trailer in a second. What they did is they took people who the remote viewers, and the remote viewers didn't know what they were going to investigate or whatever. So it wasn't like, you know, you're getting Andy Nolch to do it, who's heard about the whole soul reincarnation trap idea, and then I go and look into it, and then like my ideas that I already know about the soul reincarnation affect it or whatever. It's like, no. They took people who don't even really seem to know about this sort of stuff, and they followed spirits after the body had died, right? So they were looking at an incident where someone had died, and then they followed the spirit to where it went, and the spirit went to like a place, and it seemed to have gotten its memory wiped, and it seemed to have gotten this electronic incident, the brainwashing, all that stuff, the implanting basically, and they didn't follow it further. They didn't go any further, which is a shame. Like maybe they couldn't follow it any further or something, but they didn't actually go back to someone being born on Earth. But you did get to follow a spirit after it dies and what happens to it. And this spirit went away and seemed to have gotten brainwashed and seemed to have got its memory wiped. And you'll hear it in the trailer here as to what happened. And so it's really interesting because you get the data from these people who are not, you know, influenced by the things they hear. You know, because you can ask a Scientologist, you know, what happens to you when you die, and they'll say, blah, 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 but it's just like, yeah, they've just heard that from someone else, right? But let's just say when you take someone who hasn't heard this stuff and you get them to look into it, that's pretty interesting that they're coming out with this information. So it's backing up the L. Ron Hubbard idea, the Scientology idea. So this remote viewing investigation called Death Traps is kind of like proving Scientology right, really. And there's another video I'm going to show as well where other people looked into the whole idea of Earth being a soul reincarnation trap, and they came out with very interesting information because they talked about more truth about Earth, and it's so important, that's why I'm going to play it, and like who's running it and stuff, and it's like, whoa, it's pretty interesting stuff, right? But here, I'll play this trailer because I really think that you need to understand, firstly, I think you need to understand remote viewing in order to understand Scientology, because there's a very big connection there. And you then need to watch this Death Trap this Death Trap video, which goes for like 2 hours, and you need to watch it like twice or even 3 times because it's hard to follow along with what the hell they're talking about. And you need to, you know, see for yourself how, no, there really is good evidence that this is what's going on. We really are in a soul reincarnation trap. They also followed the soul of somebody who didn't get the implanting, didn't get the brainwashing, and the person seemed to have gone off and actually, it was really interesting. The person went off and met up with some people or beings that he used to know or something, and told them about his experience on Earth. Like seriously, this is what the data came back, and the person was like a teacher and was teaching people about what Earth was like or something. So that was really interesting, because it seems like not everyone gets stuck into this trap. And I think that the dumber you are, like the less you are aware of what's going on, if you don't believe you're a spirit, if you're not aware of all the other dimensions, if you're not aware of the soul reincarnation trap, you're much more likely to get sucked into this thingo and to just get sent back to Earth again, right? But if you're switched on like I am, I'm much more likely to be like, when I die, I'll be like, whoa, I'm going to that wild experience of death now, wow, magical, whoa, and I'll see the light or whatever that sucks people in, I'll be like, oh, that's that light, yeah. I might avoid that. I don't want to get my mind messed with, you know. Because also, this is my personal opinion, I feel like Earth has been set up as a soul reincarnation trap for a reason, because there are some degraded souls and you need a place to put them. You need prisons, right? And so I understand why they made Earth into a prison, right? And then if the soul starts to wake up and starts to become better and stop being such a nasty little prick, right? And starts to, be interested in self-help and starts to improve themselves and be honest, then when they die, they're not vibrating at a bad level. So then they don't get sucked into these machines. Like, if you're vibrating at a negative level, right, like you're thinking of an SP, for example, or just a nasty 1-1 neighbor or something, they are very likely to get sucked into this soul reincarnation trap. And in this Death Traps video, right, the person they follow seems to be a nasty, messed up person, like, because they go through the person's death, and the person wasn't like lying there like, oh, I'm peaceful and now it's time to go, like, which is probably what I'll be when I die. Their one is like, the person's like angry and messed up and all like got emotional issues and like, and then it dies, and then of course it's still angry and messed up and got emotional issues, and then it goes and gets into the soul reincarnation trap, and then it's like angry and hates itself and it's blah, blah, blah. So it's vibrating badly, right? You don't want to be vibrating badly. You have to be vibrating at a level where you're like in love and you're like peaceful, and you have to do ayahuasca really to understand these things, because ayahuasca has DMT in it, and DMT is the substance which your body releases when you die, and it lets the spirit go into the spirit realm, right? So if you've got some experiences with ayahuasca, you understand, you just go along with the experience, and you go, where the hell am I going? This is wild and an adventure, whoa, and you let it happen. You don't go, no, ayahuasca, this is crazy. And if you go into like a nightmare during ayahuasca, you don't go, get me out of the nightmare. You go, whoa, I have to experience this. Oh, this is tough. Oh, I'm going through a bad memory. Oh, let it happen. Just like relax, lie there, like don't try and be obsessed with controlling. Just trust that you're okay and you're safe, and that you're being looked after by God and stuff. And you're like, okay, and you end up you go through it. But somebody who's low toned, firstly, they're unlikely to even try ayahuasca. But if they did go into a nightmare, they go, craziness, and then they run off. They go, I'm never trying that again. I had a bad trip. Ayahuasca was the worst thing ever in my life, or whatever. So this person, right, when they die and they go into their ayahuasca trip because of the DMT released in the body when you die, right, they're going to be like in this crazy frenzy state, like, what the hell's going on? Oh my God. And then they're more likely to get trapped towards the light, and they're more likely to have Jesus come in and go, hold on a second, are you okay? Blah, 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 or whatever and stuff. Because I think that I'm suspicious that Jesus is literally a part of this whole soul reincarnation trap, and that Christianity is a part of it as well, because it's about saying, yeah, go to heaven and all this stuff. Heaven's just where you get your memory wiped. It's just an implant. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm suspicious of this sort of stuff. Like Jesus treating everyone like they're his sheep, and you're my little lamb that I look after, and I'm a higher being, and yeah, my little sheep, come here and I'll brainwash you and send you back to earth. Like, that's what it seems like it's like, right? So anyway, so what I'm saying is that people who just aren't spiritually evolved much, they're going to have a wild time when they die. Like, they're just going to be in this frenzy state, like, what the fuck, blah, 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 and they're going to be much more susceptible to getting into these machines. But if you're like this cool spirit that's like relaxed and is just like, yeah, cool, then you don't get sucked into the technology as much. And also, I think Hubbard talks about this, but there's like an implant that like maybe calls it a theta trap or something, where it uses your own energy to trap you. So basically, if you're one of these these like low-tone people that are like, I would lose bad emotions, they'll be like, I'm getting pulled in, no, I don't want to get pulled in, and then you'll flare up your energy, and then that traps you even more, and you're like, and it's just like, whoa. But if you're like this cool, relaxed spirit that's like, no, I can create my own reality, I'm in charge of my own universe, I believe in myself, I am God, and you're peaceful, and you're like, oh, there's that trap, and you're like, you can navigate yourself better. So I'm just comparing myself compared to someone who's low tone. They're much more likely to get caught in the trap, right? Because what happened with me, and of course I'm not totally sure, but this came from a really good psychic, is that my last lifetime I was actually back on another planet. And it was before that I was here in like the 40s. So, you know, I kind of thought that I would be someone who can get in and out of these traps because I'm just more advanced and I'm just not a dumbass, and I also don't vibrate at low levels. And I have vibrated at low levels, and guess what I did? I improved myself and I worked myself out of that. So you see what I mean? Other people, like, they just, I don't know, they don't live lives of self-improvement or evolvement, but I just, like, you can throw me, you can start me off at a super low level, you can inject me with vaccines and put all these chemicals in the water supply, and I can get messed up and I can vibrate low, but then I just have this ability to work things out, and I don't give up, and I end up working myself up to higher and higher levels. So for SPs, I must be a really annoying spirit, basically. So for evil people, that is, I would be a really annoying spirit because they don't like someone who improves. It doesn't matter what level you're at. You could be the worst piece of shit ever, but if you're an improving piece of shit, that is what's important. You need to always be improving, right? Anyway, so yeah, so it seems like I full-blown am an alien that's come here as a part to help out with the whole mass awakening. And there's many of us here. I don't know if all these people who are here, like, because a lot of people here say they're on a mission and here to save humanity and all that sort of stuff. I don't know if they're from the same place that I'm from, because I imagine there's multiple good, I guess, alien civilizations that want to help out Earth. But yeah, it seems like, yeah, I actually am an alien, but I'm an alien with some experience here on Earth. And I found out about the game going on here on Earth, and so then I came here. Anyway, long story. But there's heaps of people who claim that they're basically alien spirits that are just here on Earth to help bring about the awakening. Like, this isn't an unusual thing, because shit started to get wild in the mid 20th century and stuff, and the suppression just increased more and more, and I just imagine that these other groups saw, you know, hey, Earth has gone for a rough time, let's go find some volunteers and see if they want to play a game to go in there and try and bring about this mass awakening, which is happening, and we are winning, which is really cool. The fact that this data is coming out is so important. People were just distracted by silly little things, and then now they're finding out about the hardcore truth about their own existence, their own life, and the prison planet. It's epic stuff. Anyway, so in your life, if you're running around being angry and not being massively spiritual and not evolving yourself, then you're more likely to run into a bad situation when you die and you get sucked into the death traps. And in this death trap video, like I was saying, the guy seemed to be bad or whatever, low-toned, and then he died, and then he just got annihilated in the in the death trap. So here's a trailer for this death trap, because it's just a really cool trailer and stuff. So I'll play this.
What I am about to tell you and show you is probably the most astounding thing that you may have ever been told in your entire life. Initially, I expect that very few will believe it or even try to consider it. It will sound too outlandish or over the top for most people. But whatever you do with this information, whether you believe it or not, at least for myself, know that after looking at the accumulation of data collected at Farsight over a great many years, I am certain it is true.
Okay. That really means something. I want to say this because people can say, they can watch this 2-hour video and go, well, that's not enough evidence to conclude that we're in a prison planet. And I agree, it isn't enough evidence. But if you look at all the data there is in the world that you can get your hands on, there is enough evidence. Do you see what I mean? Because Courtney Brown's been doing remote viewing for years. So he's been collecting little bits of clues and evidences to say, hold on a second, it seems like we're in a prison planet, because there's been many incidents where they've been remote viewing something and by accident someone would die and they would actually follow the spirit, and it kind of wasn't really part of their investigation, but it would end up happening, and Courtney would be like, oh, that's interesting, and they would get the information and be like, So it makes sense that now in 2020 he's finally said, you know, we're actually doing an investigation into the prison planet stuff. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say is that this guy the fact that he's quite certain that we're in a prison planet, it means something. And he didn't just do it off one investigation into what happens when we die. Okay, there's more stuff going on. There's more. He's going off a lot of data. And when you see these, because there's lots of like 2-hour-long remote viewing investigations at Farsight. That's why you should probably become a member and sign up. It's like $12 a month so you can watch all their stuff, right? I've watched heaps of their stuff. You advance your knowledge massively by watching their stuff, right? When they do their investigations, on the video, you don't see all the footage. That's just the best footage. They edit it out. They cut out the rest. And also, you don't see the written paper sessions of remote viewing. So there's like, you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, and underneath it, there's all this data, right? And he just chooses the best to feature in a video, right? So in this documentary alone, you might watch it and go, oh, there's not enough data to conclude we're in the prison planet. And it's just like, yeah, but there's all this other data that went along with this as well to prove it. And then there's years and years of remote viewing data that Courtney's collected suggesting that we're in a soul reincarnation trap. And also there's like L. Ron Hubbard's data on it, and there's like other Indian data on it and stuff, Indian spiritual data, and there's all these other videos on YouTube about it. There's other people who have remote viewed it. So it means something, okay? There's like the fact that he's so certain about it. He's like, yeah, we really are living in a soul reincarnation trap. And what's interesting as well is that when I had an amazing ayahuasca experience, and I'm sorry to talk about it so much and stuff, because I know some Scientologists have a hernia to be like, oh my God, he's promoting drugs, even though ayahuasca's like such a different drug. It's like, it's not at all like a psych drug. Like, it's so different. It's like, whoa. And the religion that Hubbard was into prior to Scientology, Aleister Crowley's stuff, is totally into the hallucinogenic drugs, right? Most people don't even know Hubbard was into Crowley's stuff and that he was a Thelemite or whatever, right? Because he was. And when you study it and you learn how Thelema is all about true, pure will and finding out like being cause and stuff, and it's just so like Hubbard with his postulates, and you can see how Hubbard's life was like he was on a mission to bring about his massive religion, and like he was bringing about his pure will, and he was just so much like Crowley's stuff. And he was into poetry, and Crowley was into poetry, and you look at all the evidence and you're like, yeah, he was totally into it. But anyway, Scientologists are like, no, drugs are bad and blah, 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 even though they're freaking well drinking coffee every day and that's a drug. And then they're like smoking cigarettes and that's nicotine and that's a drug. But they're like, no, but drugs are bad and they're an engram and all this sort of stuff. And it's just like, no, there's differences between the drugs, okay? And ayahuasca is something else. These hallucinogens are something else. They actually open up parts of the mind and stuff. It's different. They also seem to be non-toxic as well. Anyway, so sorry to bring it up, but when I had my amazing ayahuasca experience, right, because one time I was trying to work out how to cook it, and actually I took too much of it by mistake, because you sort of should break it up. But anyway, I ended up taking a big dose of it, and I had like the most incredible experience just ever. Right, it was like, just imagine the most amazing roller coaster ride ever. Like, it was almost too much. Like, it was just whoa. But what I experienced was I left this whole existence, right? And I perceived this existence as being some sort of like trap and some sort of con that was just distracting me. And so it seems like I left the Matrix and I was like, whoa, that was all just bullshit and trapping me there, or something like that. That's what it seemed like. So that sort of backs up the prison planet idea, basically, because it's like you die and then you come out of it and you go, whoa, I was on Earth, that's wild. And then when you're in that realm, I imagine then they suck you towards the light or something like that. Like, I didn't see any light or anything, but I imagine when you're in that theta land or whatever you can call it, spiritual land, that's where they try and suck you and try and give you another brainwashing session and then send you back into the Matrix, right? So this is why this is also really real to me as well. Now, I don't know if Earth is a prison or the whole of the physical universe is a prison. I don't know. Maybe you travel out past Earth and things just suddenly go really different. and it's like in like a realm, like, I don't know, okay? But that's why I kind of like, I don't know if it's right to say Earth is a prison planet. I don't know, maybe I don't know. I don't know what happened to me. Maybe there's like, maybe within the Matrix, Earth is a prison planet, but the Matrix itself is a prison. So that's I mean, we're talking about really out there deep data, but it could be that, you know, we're all been put into the Matrix and that itself is a prison. And then within that, the SPs who have been incarcerated in this Matrix have also set up another prison for us within this. And that's Earth. I don't know, it's pretty deep stuff. Anyway, I'll continue this.
Emerge that seems as undeniable as it is astounding. Earth has long been a planet that has been operated as a prison, and I mean this literally, not as a metaphor for something else. People who live here were mostly dumped here from somewhere else, from other planets and other star systems within our own galaxy, and possibly some star systems in other nearby galaxies. They get dumped here by being born here. They lose all their memories of who they were in the past, where they came from, who their families are and were, and they don't remember the property that they owned that was taken from them.
Now, what's interesting about me is that I can't remember my past lives really, but I always had the sense of like, what am I doing here? Or I always had the idea of like, I'm not really from here, or something like that. And I also had the idea that like I was like God, like I'm like amazing and like God or something like that. Like I'm a very cocky person. But it's like, where do I get these ideas from and stuff? Like, where do I, you know, like why do I feel like I'm like, where did I get the like this sort of feeling that I'm not from here or something like that, or like the idea that I've got a mission. Do you know what I understand? Like I had the idea, like I felt like you know, what's my life's mission or whatever. And so it kind of like, even though I couldn't remember my past lives, like specific memories, I had suspicions or like ideas, like, so obviously my memory wasn't 100% wiped because I was like, kind of like wondering what I'm doing here. I mean, that's a little bit strange. Like what am I supposed to do while I'm here? You know what I mean? Whereas other people don't have that, right? Because I believe that they have been here for a long time and they get caught up in the soul reincarnation trap. Whereas I, like, possibly died in the 50s and then went to the alien civilization, my home or whatever, and then came here. So it's kind of like I skipped the soul reincarnation trap. So that would make sense. And all these people who are here on missions, the fact that they can sort of, a lot of them feel like they're aliens or whatever, or feel like they feel like they're here on missions or whatever, it's sort of backing up the idea that, yeah, maybe they skipped this soul reincarnation trap thing, you know? And so, you know, and you might say, well, Andy, then why can't you remember, you know, this alien planet and stuff? And I'll say, well, you know, I'm not really that good at remembering. I can't even really remember like my grade 1 teacher's name. It's just the same thing. Like when it's been ages of time you've been away for something and you haven't been thinking about it, you just forget. Like I can forget how to play songs on guitar. It's like the same thing. It's just like we forget shit this lifetime while we're just alive. And most people before they're even dead, they've forgotten a lot of their life. Like as an old man, they've forgotten a lot of their life, really. So I don't know how all this works, but anyway.
Who he is.
Hold on, I just want you to hear that.
This dude is...
Their families are and were, and they don't remember the property that they owned that was taken from them.
He does not know who he is.
This is the remote viewer.
Who he was. This dude is lost. Like, he started to calm down and remember stuff, but then when that electricity happened, it's like it tossed him out.
That was the guy who I was saying he was angry because she goes, oh, he was angry or whatever, then he started to calm down or whatever. So he was angry and that sort of stuff, then he died and then he calmed down a little bit and then he just like, then she's saying now he's lost his memory. So I believe that they had technology to calm him down or whatever, like maybe it was a nice soothing music or something like that, and then he got his memory wiped. But anyway.
In a way that erases all such memories. And the key to running this prison has always been from the beginning to suppress all knowledge of every prisoner's past.
And it doesn't feel like he remembers who he was or who he used to be. It feels like a blank slate now, like there's no substance to him.
And when people die on Earth, a technique was established to involuntarily recycle them back into another life on this planet, memory-free, so that they could never leave. Dying offers no escape from this place.
I sense numbness and booming sounds and lots of roaring, like an explosion happened. And there's lots of loud noises and chaos and shaking. Like a rumble, shaking, and just strong energetics being placed upon the structure. There's lots of electricity and frequency sounds.
This is the implant.
Coming from something. There's huge amounts of shaking.
You get electric shock, basically.
And pain. And screaming.
While it is impossible to show you everything related to the prison planet idea in only one video, we can manageably focus on the method used to erase people's memories after they die. It is a process that is so cruel, so barbaric, and yet so unbelievable, it is best to show you rather than tell you. I will ask you to be patient as I step you through how it is done. Any hope of escaping from this prison will depend on understanding the workings of the death traps.
Okay, so I just want to say something as well. Probably before you even watch this video, you need to watch this reincarnation documentary, and I'm going to put it in the comments link. I'm going to put the link for it in the comment section. But basically, what you know in the education system is just designed to dumb you down and control you and stuff. Because people at the top or whatever, the evil guys at the top who like run Earth, you know, they're not interested in educating you. They're interested in using you for their own purposes. And when you watch mainstream TV, that's just designed to sell crap. It's not really designed to educate you. So that's why you haven't been properly educated that you are a spirit, and you haven't been properly told about reincarnation and all the incidences of people remembering their past lives, right? So this documentary with this link I'm going to tell you, you watch it and you go, wow, it shows people who have remembered their previous life and they've actually gone and investigated it, right? And it's been proven like correct. Like one woman like remembered in a past life having like 8 kids and stuff, and she wanted to go visit them, right? And it was in a different country. She reincarnated in England, but she died when she was, I think, she was still fairly young, like the kids were still small. So she was probably around the age of 40. She died in Ireland, right? But then she had all these memories, right? So then she went to where she remembered stuff, and she found the town, and she found her freaking kids. Now this was like ages later, so her kids were like old, right? But she'd found them, and the kids, when she died, the kids got adopted. Because I think she must have been single, and so the kids got broken up and they went into foster families and stuff. So when she went and found the kids, she brought the family back together, and she's like, yeah, I know reincarnation's real. She was like, I full on can remember my past life. Now I think, obviously maybe she skipped this memory wiping thing. Like she died and then just the next day went next door to like the hospital and found a baby body or something, and somehow she just skipped it, right? But to her, she's like, reincarnation isn't a theory, it's freaking true. And in this documentary, it shows multiple evidences for it and people who remember similar stuff. And this is stuff that you can't refute. It's like evidence you could use in a court case. It's like this 4-year-old kid knows data about like being a Buddhist monk, and it's like the kids shouldn't know any of this, and then they look into it and you find out that the kid in the past life was this Buddhist monk. And so this documentary, it's proper data proving it, right? The powers that be don't care about this. They don't want you knowing about this sort of stuff. They just want to use you and stuff. And I reckon this information's been covered up intentionally to try and dumb you down. Like, they don't want you to know as well the power of thoughts, that your thoughts can create reality. They don't want you to know that as well. Because they want to control what you think with propaganda. And then that creates reality. So they're taking advantage of the fact that thoughts create reality and using you through their mainstream media to create the reality they want. Which is like a clever little thing. But if they said to you, hey, by the way, your thoughts can create reality, then you would stop thinking, right, whatever's in the mainstream media, which creates a reality, and you would start thinking, oh, I'm going to be driving a cool car now or something. And then you would start creating different realities, and I don't want that, you see. And so this is, anyway, it's just such deep data, right, this briefing. So watch this documentary before you watch even this remote viewing thing or anything, right? Because this is just good, simple, hardcore data. And it also shows how Dianetics works in this documentary, because a person in this goes to a past life regression hypnotist or whatever, a regression session person. And by the way, Dianetics is hypnosis, by the way. So that's bullshit. Hubbard was saying that for PR, that it's not hypnosis. It is hypnosis. It absolutely is. Right? That's why you count down from 10. You go into the person's mind and but there's just so much data that people need to be corrected on, especially because they sort of have been a little bit lied to in Scientology and they're confused. So Dianetics is hypnotic regression therapy. And Hubbard didn't even invent it. Other people had done it and stuff. He just made it popular and called it Dianetics. Right? But in this documentary, the person goes to a past life hypnotist and helps bring out these memories and stuff. And one dude was had problems with his neck. Then he went into the memory. He mightn't have even done this with a therapist. He didn't even do this with a therapist. Somehow, it actually might have been a drug experience, actually, because he went to the dentist. He went to a doctor and got surgery for his neck, and while he was under the influence of the drugs, I think, he remembered the past life where he got shot. But he could still, even before that instance, he was still remembering a past life and still saying, I used to be a soldier and stuff, because this was a kid, I think. So he was saying, I used to be a soldier. He could just remember his past life or whatever. But he had all these neck problems. And then he went and got surgery on the neck. And then he remembered the incident about getting shot and said, yeah, I got shot or whatever. And so the shot was creating the fact that in past life that he got shot in the neck, it was creating illness in his neck, because obviously he couldn't get over it or whatever. And then when he remembered it, the neck healed up. It didn't heal up because of the surgery that he got. The surgery was for I think it was on a different part of the neck or something. But the doctor was like, what the hell? It wasn't supposed to heal up, but it healed up when he remembered it. And that is what Dianetics is. That is what Scientology is. You go on your backtrack and you go through bad incidents you've been through, you remember them, and then you're no longer affected by them today. So somebody might have nervousness problems, and it's because in a previous life they went through a bad incident and they were getting really nervous during that incident or something. Or someone might have a bad knee, and then they go through memories and they find out in a past life that they'd gotten shot in the knee. And then you do the Dianetics therapy, the Scientology therapy, and their knee miraculously just repairs. This documentary talks about this, and the documentary has nothing to do with Scientology, right? But it just backs up the data in Scientology. And it shows how magical miracles are possible. Like when you remember your past life, you can suddenly just heal things like that. And that's where I'm talking about, because magicness is possible, because I've got a toothbrush that's invincible, that never breaks down. And it was possibly because a thought of mine was I had just had the thought that the toothbrush would be all right before I went on holiday. I go, the toothbrush will be all right. And then I just put it in my bag. Then when I was on my holiday, I think I went to use a toothbrush and I was like, why the fuck is this brand new again? I was like, this toothbrush has turned brand new. I did a video on it. I'll show you the toothbrush. I've still got it. I've still been using the same toothbrush. It's amazing. It's an invincible toothbrush, right? It's just like that. Like magic. Boom. The toothbrush went back to being brand new and has never aged ever since. So we are living in an amazing matrix where your thoughts can just go, I can't do it like that. I did it by accident, but I imagine someone, if they got really good at it, and maybe Jesus could do this, he could just think car tires brand new, and his car tires are brand new forever, and he never needs to replace his car tires. This stuff is seriously possible. It's not just theories and stuff. You can be magical and just change your reality, right? So that's why you remember, you got a bad neck, you remember something from your past life, and then just boom, it just corrects. And then you never have a problem with your neck again. So magic is possible. Remember that. Anyway, so watch this documentary that I put in the links, because you'll understand Scientology and Dynetics and past life hypnotic regression therapy and stuff. You'll actually realize that past lives are true, and it's very likely you are a spirit that just cannot remember your past lives. And then you can go look at these remote viewing experiments, and it's got even more data, because you can see what might happen to you when you die.
One of these guys are absolutely not nice. Like, the other two are almost neutral, but more bad than good. But this one guy, like, he's got this triangular-ish shape. He's not nice at all. He's mean. He's bad. He's bad. Very cunning and bad. He's bad.
Yeah, so she's talking obviously maybe about the implanters, right? The people who are doing the brainwashing to wipe their memory. Now, in the next video I'm going to show you, they go into more about detail. It's not a Farsight one. It's not this one. It's a different one. It's some other remote viewers who've got some data on this. They go into the people who are running this and the implanters, and that's really interesting. And like it says that they're like, control freaks and stuff, I think. Anyway.
Mean, not nice.
Specifically, the subject just can't remember things, so he's going in a loop. It's a continuous loop of being in a specific place and in a specific event and reliving that memory over and over and over again.
I just hear a lot of loud noises and shouting.
Hold on a second. I think I realised I didn't quite finish an idea I was talking about earlier. I was saying that I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing that Earth is a prison planet. That's basically the idea I'm saying, because I believe in prisons. I believe you take the bad guys and you lock them up, and then society's awesome, right? It's just that I don't like the idea of living in a prison. You know what I mean? And so that's why this is a tough place to live. But I do agree with the idea that we need to have prisons, because you don't want freaking pedophiles hanging around you and stuff, So that's why people might be like, these evil implanters for setting up the soul reincarnation trap and all this sort of stuff, and they're all evil. And it's just like, well, hold on a second. Are they? What if they were doing the right thing by putting all the freaking more retarded people and evil people, by putting them all on their own little island or something, which is Earth? Maybe they're not wrong. Like, I think that they're evil if they're locking people up who shouldn't be locked up. But if they're Hillary Clintons, you know what I mean? If they're like that Sheldon character on that Sheldon character on The Big Bang Theory, right? That manic Asperger's nerd who's like negative to the people around him and stuff, and he's basically an SP11. That character, but it's kind of funny, but they're not very spiritually evolved and advanced, and they kind of wouldn't be nice to have in your society, because they would just do dodgy stuff, and they're just retarded. So I don't like. I'm not fully. I don't know. I feel like. I kind of actually feel like if somebody dies and then they're not evolved enough to get away from the soul reincarnation trap, they almost deserve to go into it. Like, yeah, they're obviously a retarded wog and they should just go back and reincarnate again, because they just still haven't worked it out. Like, I don't know. I've got a bit of a brutal attitude, but anyway, I just, I don't mind I don't blame people for wanting to create a perfect society and to get rid of people who are low-toned and problematic and, think yoga's silly or think Scientology's silly or, refuse to try an ayahuasca ceremony, or, you know, refuse to meditate, and or like are just not into spiritually advancing themselves, and are just obsessed with like playing a computer game, or just obsessed with making money on the share market. It's just like, these are not high quality people, you know. So anyway.
It just sounds like constant screaming and yelling all the
What I'm saying is, if you look at Earth and the quality of people here on Earth, you know, we're used to a good person being like somebody who just like doesn't do bad things and doesn't break the law. But what if there's out there are beings that are really, really cool beings, like really loving beings, really creative, really nice, really good, really advanced, really healing, really caring and stuff. And that's actually what a good person is. And in their society, the average person we've got here on Earth, in their society, they would be like, they're just so advanced, they would be like, this guy's a criminal. They would go, but look what he's doing. I mean, he's going to work every day and all he is interested in is making money for his job. And that's all his life is about. And then also, he goes to like the strippers or something, like with a little bit of an addiction to strippers, going to strippers, and they're just like, what the hell? That, like, their idea, they would define that as like criminalness. They'll be like, he's obsessed with money and he doesn't do any self-advancement. He doesn't even care about the diet he's eating. He's like got some weird stripper addiction, right? And so these advanced beings would look at that and go, maybe their laws would classify him as being a criminal, and they'll be like, sorry, you're going to Earth, like you were just a shit being. You know what I mean? Do you know, like, you sort of get what I mean? So it's like, you know, I don't know. I just don't know how it all works, but, you know, I don't blame people for wanting to get rid of, you know, people who are low-toned. And, you know, I mean, my experience here on Earth, because I guess I'm an alien, right? So my experience has been, wow, I'm surprised at the lack of intelligence, the lack of love, the lack of care, I am kind of like, it does make me think, yeah, this place is a prison, because it's like, these look like the type of quality people that you'll get in prison. Do you know what I mean? And I know that seems really rude. Obviously, I'm not saying everyone who's watching this video is like that, but just my initial impressions was just like, you enjoy drinking beer? Like, what the fuck? Like, not only does beer taste bad, but also like messes with your ability to get things done. And especially marijuana, it's just like, whoa, like you enjoy smoking marijuana? Like I don't know, or like even like action sports, like, do you like doing lots of snowboarding? It's just like, snowboarding? You're like rolling down a hill. Like, what are you, like a dog that likes getting a ball thrown at it? It's like, yes, fetch the ball, get me the ball again. Yes, oh, fetch the ball, get the ball again. Yeah, like, how many hills do you want to roll down before you're like, I'm over snowboarding down a hill? And then there are people who are doing boxing and the violent thingos, and it's like, you like getting hit and hurt? It's just like, that's what you choose to do with your life? Like, I don't know, I've just come across, you know, finding out who I am and stuff, and my initial reaction was kind of like, you know, this place is kind of strange, like the stuff that people enjoy, and then like the things people do, and it's kind of like, you know, and then like in the recent past few years when I found out about these good drugs, and I'm just like, whoa, hold on a second. So there are actually good drugs that don't damage you, that are possibly non-toxic, and that can actually help and advance you. And these people aren't doing them and haven't been telling me about them? What the fuck? What bunch of retards are here on Earth? Like, why hasn't this been like, like, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? So I understand how it's possible that, you know, that the people here on Earth are just like scummy prisoners. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to stand here and say like I'm impressed with the people that are here on Earth. Like, yeah, I come across people who I'm impressed with, but it's just like on average, the quality of the average person isn't very high. And I see how higher beings could like view that as a person that's like, oh, we've got to put you in a matrix. We've got to put you in some prison or something, or put you on some prison planet, because we kind of don't want you in our society because, you know, like you're just stuffing shit up. Like you come into our society and you're an electrician, and like instead of giving good advice about electrical stuff, you're telling them whatever will get you a bigger sale. And it's like, whoa, man, there's something wrong with you. Off to prison planet Earth. Do you know what I mean? Because you look at me, the way I approach my business, right? My day job is I treat other people the way I want to be treated. And there are situations where I can, you know, I can be like evil and lie to someone and say, yeah, you need to do blah, 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 because I'll make more money. But of course I don't do that, because I treat people the way I want to be treated. And I've got a big heart and I'm more spiritually evolved. That's how I can come in and out of this matrix. You know what I mean? Right? So I actually give people good advice and I don't rip people off, right? But there are a lot of people who, you know, they'll do dodgy things and stuff, and it's just like, whoa, you know, I understand that people go, oh, you're not for Earth. And that brings up another thing about how this soul reincarnation trap might work, is that I know that angels exist, like basically spirits, you know, without bodies, but are like, I guess, advanced. They exist, right? And so if somebody dies, right, it's quite possible that angels could see that that person is heading towards going to some other realm, right? And they don't consider that person a high quality person. They look at the person's energy field and they can see into their memory somehow, because they've just got that psychic ability, and they see this person's been an electrician and has been ripping people off. And so they go, oh, come here. Now go back into the soul reincarnation trap. There you go. Because the person's not ready to go to advance to the next level, because life is like a computer game. Do you see what I mean? So maybe Jesus is actually doing the right thing. He's actually trying, like people who are not classy enough for the higher levels, Jesus is guiding them back into the reincarnation, saying, no, you need more time here to frickin' well work out what's going on. But I guess where it's mean is the fact that they're wiping their memory. But I feel with me, because I'm being influenced by angels, is that I might have good angels come in. I might die and good angels will come in. They'll go, oh, here's Andy, pick him up. No, we're going to look after him and make sure he doesn't go into the soul reincarnation trap, and then look after me. Do you see what I mean? So this is where God helps you if you're a good person, right? And it's important for you to be a good person, because I guarantee, I see it all the time. People who commit overts, people who are bad, right? They get lots of bad luck, and it's like God is cursing them, and it's like they're not getting assisted. You see them bump their foot on the wall, and you see them get ripped off by someone and stuff, and it's because they're being bad. But if you be good, you get looked after and God helps you, and I reckon that they then say, yes, he qualifies, and this might be this life review thing, because there's this idea that when you die you get a life review, and that might be before the implant. Do you see what I mean? The life review thing. It might literally be like you go, and I think Hubbard talks about this, but there's like a Between Lives lecture you got to check out, where he talks about seeing souls go into this trap. But anyway, you could go to like this court case basically, and you get reviewed, and then if they see that you've been bad, then they brainwash you and wipe your memory and send you back to Earth. But if they see that you've been good, they go, oh, great. And they let you advance to the next level. And so then that's when you go to the next computer game. So anyway, this is all deep stuff, but anyway.
Someone is constantly being tortured here. It sounds like hell.
Kind of like a person who just has amnesia and they're trying their best to remember something that they tried to forget, or they completely always forget, or they can't control that they're forgetting, so they try to remember over and over and over and over again.
Sounds like someone's fighting the implant.
After death,
they're trying to remember.
The magnetic draw towards pathways or doorways, an electroshock experience, and finally, a state of amnesia. It also seems as if false memories may be inserted into the subjects at that point, a clean slate. Why would a prison be set up to do this? Well, it all begins with an understanding that it is impossible to kill a soul.
They created this to demolish his larger spiritual self because he was powerful? Can this be stopped?
There is no such thing as capital punishment on the level of a soul. So, if a society wants to get rid of someone that they don't want around, you can't just kill the person. The only way to really get rid of the person is to dump the person onto a planet with a soul recycler system, one that eradicates the individual's memories so that the person does not come back. Then one could let such a person get caught up in the recycler system for thousands of years.
It feels like they're not in control of their mental state anymore. Someone or something is forcing them to relive these experiences. So they just feel like tortured souls.
How hard will it
Sounds like maybe the implant is a torturous experience, or she is describing a soul that went into the hell. So they went into a really bad experience. They just didn't get they didn't get memory wiped and sent back to Earth. They went through an experience where they were just getting tortured or something. Because it does seem that hell exists. There's some, like, it's possible that when you die you could go somewhere where you just get tortured the shit out of. I don't know for how long, but it probably feels like forever.
such death traps even exist when they don't have any memories of anything before their current lives?
And he just...
Yes, that's probably a big part of it as well, is that they want to wipe your memory so that then you don't remember the death trap experience and everything, so then in the future you can get sucked into it again, you know?
Zombie. He just feels like...
Feels like a zombie. She's saying, oh, he feels like a zombie.
If the society acknowledges
So that's what you like at the end of it,
about remote viewing
after you get
or the
implanted.
extraterrestrials, then the entire house of cards is in danger of collapsing. Once you acknowledge the existence of the extraterrestrials, then the next question is to ask, what have they been doing all this time? And what is our history in relation to their history?
And they picked apart the things that made him feel good and calm and created this false environment that they knew he'd go towards, and then just darkness. And now he's lost in that war with himself and with his ex-life. His ex-life? With darkness. Like, none of that is fair. That's not fair.
This means that if humans
See, it's wild because it's like, it shows like if you don't evolve and become smarter and advance yourself, when you die you could end up getting tortured the fuck out of. Basically you could have a really rough ayahuasca trip experience. Really. Like that's the best way for you to understand what it would be like a really bad nightmare.
Rely on themselves to know what is real and what is not real. They can't simply wait to be rescued. No one is coming to rescue us. There is no cavalry. We start dismantling the prison system by waking up, by remembering who we really are, who we were, and who we need to...
And by the way, I had a go at beer earlier, and it's just like... I'm not saying it's bad to have a beer every now and then or something, but it's just like, I mean, like, people who are regularly taking things, like the same as marijuana, because it seems like some people can have a bit of a spiritual experience on marijuana, but it's like, when it's regular, that's when it's like, well, that's just weird. That's just like, as if you would enjoy that. You know, it's same as like snowboarding. It's like, if someone says I go snowboarding like every now and then, I guess I can understand it. But like, when it's regular, that's when it's like, what the hell? Are you like a dog or whatever? Like, I remember hearing about someone surfing, and it was just like they surf and then they surf again and they surf again. It's just like, when do you get over just riding a wave? Like what the hell? Like isn't there more to your life? Like you just enjoy riding a wave? Like what?
At a time.
So that's that one. So I'll put the link in for that, but you'll have to get a membership to watch it. But it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Now here is the data. It's really important, where These are other remote viewers, some other remote viewing group, and they looked into, this is a summary done by Rex Bear. This is a summary of their data, and the full video is like 40 minutes, and they say all the data they experience, and Rex Bear summarizes it in like 10 minutes and says like the essentials of basically the data they got. And this is more data about the whole implant, the whole brainwashing thingo, and basically what's actually going on here on Earth. This is just epic data. It's really important. You need to know this. It's so important. Have a listen to this.
Hey everybody, Rex Bear Leak Project. How's it going? I wanted to share with you a very deep comment that was left on the channel yesterday that was so intense I actually spent about an hour reading comments to find it again. I had to go through hundreds of them to get to it, and I copied it and I pasted it. I read it, went into deep thought, did some other research, and I want to share this with you, and I want to get your take on the reincarnation process. Where do you believe you go after this physical experience? Do you believe in the soul? Do you believe you'll be reincarnated as another human, animal, insect? Do you believe you'll go on to be a god, a demigod, a planet? Do you believe that it's just nothing? Whatever your belief, I'm not here to change that. I'm here to share with you some powerful information.
You know, by the way, these low-tone scientists and stuff that say they believe it's nothing and you just die, if you actually looked at like a tally of the amount of hours they've spent investigating if they're a spirit or not, it'll be like 45 minutes, and that'll be it. Yet these disgusting low-tone, disgusting mainstream scientists, disgusting academics, disgusting one-ones will be like, there's no evidence for reincarnation, and like when you die, you just die, and there's no such thing as spirits and stuff, and like they say with such certainty, and it's just like, they haven't investigated it. They're stubborn little shits. I know this. I mean, I've looked into it and such stuff. So when I say, hey, it's really likely you're a fucking spirit, it's really likely that Earth is a reincarnation trap, I'm not just saying that after 1 hour investigating. I'm talking about tons of hours of investigating. I don't open up my freaking mouth until I've looked into something. I'm actually scientific. I'm actually objective. These other people, they're not scientific. They say they're interested in science and all this stuff, but they're not. They're actually, it's weird. They're gone. They're broken calculators. You don't want to deal with them. They're low tone. They've got bad data, right? And they say stuff like reincarnation isn't real and stuff and blah, blah, blah. And like, they just haven't even investigated. And then when they do investigate, the little time they do spend investigating it, they're just busy doing confirmation bias. They're trying to prove that we're not living in a prison planet. They're trying to prove that we are not souls. They've already made up their mind on it. Whereas Andy isn't like that. And people will know this because I challenge the Scientology ideas. I don't just read Hubbard and believe him. I don't believe him. I don't believe him until I've got the data, until I've found out for myself. But he just guides me towards things to look out and investigate myself. But I was saying, like 6 months ago, I was saying, like, you know, I don't even know if I'm a spirit and we reincarnate. I'm not really sure, you know, like I don't even know if the prison planet thing's real because I hadn't seen enough data. You understand? So if I'm just some stupid person who just gets brainwashed by a religion, then I would have been saying, since I first heard this idea 7 years ago or whatever, I would have been saying, yeah, we live in a soul reincarnation trap, and yeah, I'm a spirit that reincarnates, I'm a Satan that reincarnates and stuff. Whereas I was like, only like 3 months ago, I was still saying, look, I don't even know if I'm really a spirit that's reincarnating. I don't really know if the prison planet thing is true and stuff, you know? Like I'm a proper skeptic. I'm a proper scientist. You know what I mean? I don't say a decision until I've investigated and looked into it. And I don't do confirmation bias, right? Like these other people do, like Chris Shelton, disgusting Chris Shelton. He's already confirmation biased. He's already like, we aren't souls, and I'm going to go and investigate and find evidence to prove that we aren't souls. That's not how you do it. You go, I don't know if I'm a soul or not. Let's look for evidence. Okay, let's look. And now I've come to a conclusion. And I'm not 100% sure, but it's quite likely we are souls. Right? But these people, they're the ones who are teaching your kids at school and are designing university courses and all this sort of stuff. They're just dumbasses. They are just idiots. Like, they'll say stuff like, psychics are just scammers. And it's just like, have you investigated that? And then when they go to investigate it, you're like, they barely investigate it. And when they go to investigate psychics, they're doing a confirmation bias and they're just assuming that the person's a scammer from straight up. But what does Andy do? He says, I don't know, okay? When I first heard about psychic stuff, I was like, yeah, it seems like a scam, but I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm going to go, what's going on with psychics? Is it real or not? You know what I mean? And then one day a psychic said something and I was like, what the fuck? How the hell does psychic know that? And I was like, whoa, that's deep. Then I look further and you find out the freaking CIA is using remote viewers. Remote viewers are psychics pretty much. And like, they're doing it to collect data to do spy work and shit. And then you find out the police pay psychics to go and get data about like a missing person or something. And it's a full-blown 100% a real thing. So how does Andy come to the truth about psychics? The same as I'm coming to the truth about the soul reincarnation trap. How do I do it? I'm not a fucking retard. I remain open-minded and objective, and I look at the evidence. I don't be stubborn and do confirmation bias and go, psychic's bullshit, let's go and look for data to find out, oh, there was a psychic there. There was that gypsy person, they were scamming people. Oh, all psychics are scammers, see? And it's just like, no, that's bullshit. Yeah, of course there's some dodgy gypsy person on Gold Coast at some festival that you can walk up to and pay $15 and they just tell you nice little fluffy things and don't tell you anything, not even psychic, right? But that doesn't mean psychics are bullshit. Some of them actually full-blown actually can do it, and it works. Anyway, that little rant over, but you have to understand that here on Earth, we are victims of these Shelton character of the Big Bang Theory. A lot of the academics are in that sort of weird personality where they're like, they think really robotically and they're very low tone and they're very, very literal, and they're just not objective, and they parade science, and they wear, like Chris Shelton, they wear t-shirts that are like, science, yeah, science, not religion, or like science, yeah, science is cool and all this sort of stuff. And then you actually look into how they investigate things, and they wouldn't know science if it fucking spanked them on the ass, right? They're not scientific. They don't understand how science is. Science is keeping open-minded, you know? Anyway.
Recorded from remote viewers around the world. There have been thousands of studies and sessions documented, and a true remote viewer is able to decipher information in ways that are fascinating, almost Jedi-like, but it's not magic. It's from exercises of the mind. There's actually military protocols and...
Remote viewing is basically like a trained psychic. It's like learning how, like a psychic can get information, right, by just tapping into their mind. Somehow they naturally can do it. Well, remote viewing is a specific technique you use that you teach someone, and it takes ages for them to learn it and get good at it. But you train them in it, and then suddenly they can tap into their mind and get answers. So they're like a better version of a psychic, because you can get them to, like, when you go to do it, you don't, like when you get a psychic, you say the psychic, I want to find out data about the moon or something. You front loaded them, but with the remote, like they already know about the moon, so that can influence them. But when it comes to remote viewing, they say to them, I've got this number, 1247 blah 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 blah, and then just find out data about this number, and that number is actually connected to the moon, and then they get data. So they've got this way in remote viewing of hiding what the person is supposed to be looking at from the person, so that their own memories don't confuse the remote viewing. So it's a clever way, like, of making it like blinded, they say it. And they also make it double blinded, where the person who's going and doing the investigation, finding the remote viewers, they don't even know what's being investigated. So it makes sure that nobody adds in lies. Like nobody adds in their own imagination from what they know. Because when it comes to a psychic, and this is what skeptics will say, they'll say, well, you ask the psychic about the moon, the psychic has already seen movies about the moon, knows what the moon is, and they can just say data about that to you, and that can trick it. And you go, yeah, but in remote viewing, which is what the government, the CIA use and stuff, and Hubbard, Scientology literally helped invent remote viewing, right? They get around that so that like the psychic doesn't even know what they're viewing. They just go into their mind and they just go, oh, I don't know, I see like a ball or something. And so like they don't know that they're being asked to remote view the recent basketball game. Do you see what I mean? So it's really clever.
Of remote viewing projects and programs that you can do yourself and different exercises, etc. You can read about the military protocols, and you can actually verify your results with others, because you can either have something that you want them to remote view, or they can, vice versa. Don't tell them what it is or anything. If you follow the protocols, they remote view what you want them to. They'll write it down. There's evidence. There's plenty of evidence that remote viewing is real. Now, doesn't mean every time somebody remote views something, the information is accurate. What is fascinating is the amount of people that pick up the same results. And this is about the soul and a soul harvesting technology that overlaps the planet. It's a grid, very similar to the Matrix. So I want to get into that. And I also want to thank my friends over at Noble Gold Investments. Gold, silver, cryptos. It's so easy now to trade and to get into gold, silver, and cryptos. Even if you've got a 401 or an IRA, you can actually convert your 401 or IRA into precious metals, into different cryptos. And they're giving free books to Leak Project listeners: how to get out of the rat race, how to take more control for yourself. If you're concerned about the markets, if you're concerned about the elections and what's going on right now around the world, if you've been keeping your eyes open and paying attention, you're definitely aware, well, this is a great opportunity. Click the links. And now let me read this to you. And I want to thank the person that sent me this comment, because this is very deep. Here we go. Leak Project. Have you checked the remote viewing data about the soul trap from Brett Sinclair and Technical Intuition? Here's a summary. The viewer's description of the target location, Earth, is an innocent planet that's had a barrier or grid around it that traps people and objects, a deliberate function that acts like a cage, a form of perverted injustice occurring, harrowing, bone-chilling magnetic force that stirs and agitates, a net that's been spun, that catches and releases, massive grid around the planet. Souls are drained at the expense of energizing something else. Clockwork nature over long expanses of time, very high-tech, shielded around the globe.
So this is the stuff that was coming into the remote viewers' heads when they were looking into the whole soul reincarnation idea on Earth.
It's almost like magic. Magnetic vice squeezing tightly around the planet. People are lost. They don't understand what's happening. Souls are being bent back towards the planet.
It's not letting souls
like a
leave the
reincarnation
planet.
grid.
Yeah. So there's some sort of grid.
What happens to the soul? Question mark. The mind and body is splayed and fractured each time.
Some sort of grid that's stopping spirits from leaving Earth. Anyway, hold on.
Into the reincarnation grid. They are being bent back towards the planet. It's like a reincarnation grid. What happens to the soul? Question mark. The mind and body is splayed and fractured each time it's pulled back into the reincarnation grid. Something is actually extracted during that process. It's taken without conscious awareness of the soul. And this is taken to power something else entirely. Brett?
So this is interesting because it's saying that something is taken from the person. It's implying that something is taken from the person when they're getting their memory wiped, or when they're going into the. I think it's implying that, but this is really deep data. We have to listen to it like a few times. But it's implying that something gets taken from them. Maybe they're talking about their memories, or maybe they steal all your energy or something like that from the spirit, and they're making people into small spirits and then putting them back into earth. Because maybe, like, there seems to be differences between spirits. Some people are big spirits, and like they're more able to do things, and they've got more energy. And some people, like for example with LRH, they could perceive that he was near them because they could feel his energy field because he was big, right? So maybe the soul reincarnation trap, part of it, not only is it wiping the memory and training the person to go back into a baby body, it's also destroying the soul's energy field and taking energy from it and using it to feed something else in some other dimension or something. And so that person is smaller, and then they're like a weak little pussy soul, and then they go back and they get born again. And maybe that's part of it as well, maybe.
Conscious awareness flayed and fractured each time it's pulled back into the reincarnation grid. Something is actually extracted during that process. It's taken without conscious awareness of the soul. And this is taken to power something else entirely. Brett uses the analogy of extracting honey from the bees. Souls are being fed on by external parasitic forces, or a force, some warped, sadistic, and twisted forces being the agitator in this process. So how did it begin? Well, the planet was viewed with extreme envy by this external force.
Wow, so this is saying how the soul reincarnation trap here on Earth began. See, this is where this is really interesting. How did Earth become a prison planet? Have a listen to this.
Multitudes.
You're going to hear about the implants.
Some warped, sadistic, and twisted forces being the agitator in this process. So how did it begin? Well, the planet was viewed with extreme envy by this external force. Could have been multitudes. At that time, there was no reincarnation grid, and a massive battle ensued. The planet was invaded. Those that were protecting it lost. Earth was given up in an armistice. Then it goes on, how to achieve moksha, question mark.
Moksha is like freedom
Describes
from
the release of the
reincarnation.
soul from the body as cosmic particles being expelled from the center of the nervous system, and technically has the freedom to go anywhere instead of being trapped in this finite archon manipulated situation. This is also dependent on the angle via which the soul exits the body. A 45-degree angle was actually mentioned. If this is attained, there is a group of beings that will help soul escape. It's like they're the safety rope. Brett also feels that this group is connected to the one that was formerly protecting the planet. Fear also prevents most from escaping. Achieving moksha is analogous to having all the vice grips and cables being ripped out of the head and finally being liberated.
So now that's a good point. He says fear also prevents those from escaping. And so that's what I'm trying to say. When you're vibrating at the lower levels, you can't leave the soul reincarnation trap, because you die and then you're just in a state of fear, and you're just like the way how someone's fearful in their everyday life. Like, let's say the average wog, they're fearful in their everyday life and they don't end up doing interesting things and stuff, and they just end up doing the mainstream prescribed life, and the fear controls them and traps them. And because they're fearful, they just trap themselves, and they put themselves into like a little cage of a life, and they never step out of it, and they're like, oh my God, it's scary. Like, and Andy comes along and suggests doing something unusual, and they're just like, oh my God, it's scary, I'm not going to try that and stuff. And so they're trapped in this lifetime by their own fear, but when they die, they've still got that fear, and it's just the same situation. So in the spiritual realm, they're trapped by the fear, and then they end up just going towards maybe the safe light or something like that, or something guides them towards something nice, and they're all fearful about blah, 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 everything, so they just go towards this safe little thing, and then they get brainwashed and freaking well, memory wiped and fucked and just screwed over, and then they just end up getting sent back to Earth. So that's why, because that's one thing I definitely noticed about the Earth population, is that there's a big problem with fear, and it completely controls them. A huge problem with fear, far too much fear. And it's even amongst Scientologists as well. Scientologists are not as open-minded as they should be, I think, and they're not as fearless as they should be. I think they show a fair bit of signs of fear. They also seem to be a bit too fearful of conspiracies and stuff, like a little bit too into conspiracies, like they're worried they're not going to be okay, and like they're like, oh, you know, the government's blah 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 blah, and it's like, yeah, there's wild shit that's going on, but we're winning. There's no reason to be scared or upset. Like it's awesome, everything's winning and everything's going good, and we're getting rid of the corruption and stuff. But some sides do seem a bit fearful and stuff. But so that's the fear thing seems to be a big problem here on Earth, and so that's why I bet you possibly, you know, people who break through their fears, then when they die, they don't get stuck into the soul reincarnation trap. They don't get implanted, so then they leave. So it just seems to be that they keep the people here on Earth. It's like a brain drain on Earth, but like a courage drain. It drains away courage, because the courage, people with courage and who aren't fearful just leave, but the fearful people stay. Anyway.
System created. Fear also prevents most from escaping. Achieving moksha is analogous to having all the vice grips and cables being ripped out of the head and finally being liberated. Why was the system created? The control system is just a small component of a larger system. The controllers are like demons in a sense. The alchemical process of the mayhem and negativity on the planet's surface feeds the controllers. Some of these energies or soul aspects are extracted and shipped off somewhere else. Enslaved, bundled up like twigs for kindling. Massive amount of injustice system was created to provide fuel and energy for other systems and conquest. Sort of like the fuel for the expanding empire. The energy empowers the massive system. So who is responsible?
Wow. So it seems like, see, this is something as well, is because we're here on Earth and we don't, you know, see aliens walk down the street and wave to us, or fly by in a UFO and wave to us, and because NASA lies to us about the other planets, we think that we're the big dicks in the universe and it's just all us and it's all about life. But the truth is, we're just little pieces of shit. We're like monkeys that are like humping in some bushes, and the jet flies over, and the people in the jet are doing all these advanced, interesting things, and the monkeys are just in the bushes having sex, and they don't even notice the little monkeys having sex in the bushes, and they're just like, whatever. That's what we're like. We're like unimportant. We're just crappy earthlings on this little unimportant planet, and there's all these alien civilizations and interdimensional stuff going on, and that's much more interesting and much more important. And so we're just like, we're not the big dicks around here. We're not important. We're just nothing. And this whole life actually is not important. It's just an experience. You know what I mean? It's like, that's another lesson I've learned. It's really important, is that it's really important that this experience you're having isn't that important. Don't really care that much about it. Like, don't take things seriously. You know what I mean? Like, this is just some crappy little prison that you're spending a holiday in, basically. Seriously. So if you have that attitude, it's like you shouldn't care about death. You shouldn't be too worried about what job you have. It's just like, whatever, man. You're just in some shitty little prison. It's like, you know, just whatever. Yeah, you can mop the floors, or you can, like, you know, invent things, or, you know, you can do the prisoner's washing or whatever, or, you know, it's just like, you're in a freaking prison. Just choose any job, like whatever. Like, it doesn't matter that much. You know, but we all get, because we only see this reality, we think it's all so important, all this sort of stuff. When you leave this existence and you see what's really going on, you're like, whoa, that was just like not important. I can't believe I actually took those things seriously. Like, it's nothing to, you shouldn't be getting worried about anything or getting stressed about anything. It's just like, it's just a prison, really. It's exactly the same as, imagine if some prison person, you got a friend and they go to jail and they call you up and they go, oh man, you know, like, I'm just trying to think, I can't believe I didn't get chosen to do the laundry in the prison. Like, I really wanted to mop the floors. Like, oh man, it was so stressful. And then like, I came late to like the yard duty and like, oh my God, can you believe I came late? Like, and the person's really caring. It's just like, dude, you're just in a prison. Who gives a shit? No one really, like the attitude people have towards, I imagine, when they go into prison, that's what the attitude you need to have towards your life here. It's like, it's not that important. Don't get so stressed about things. Don't get so upset. It's just like, be chilled and relaxed. And actually, when you're vibrating in the chill and relaxed state, that's when you can start being magical and your thoughts can start creating reality and stuff. So it's a lot better, actually. Anyway, so what he's saying is that this prison planet thing is a part of a big, larger system and stuff where, you know, I imagine we're a prison for some other big civilization out there that's like a massive version of America, some big confederacy maybe or something like that. And it's just like, we're just some little small thing that's like unimportant, basically. But here's where it gets really interesting, because he's talking about who are running the prison, right? The implanters, right? And what's really interesting is it seems to back up some data LRH has on OT8. And I won't say anything too extreme on OT8 because I know people don't want me to talk about OT8 or whatever. But basically, you find out about the beings who are manipulating the SPs that are here on Earth. The beings are in telepathic communication with, you know, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the George Soroses and the Hillary Clintons. They're in mental communication with these beings that are outside the meshed universe time. They're not in this time and space, okay? They're outside of this meshed. They're somewhere else. And they're communicating to these beings and getting them to set up the New World Order, and they're bringing about all the evil, and they're getting them to, like, molest kids and all this weird stuff, right? Like, it's crazy, you know, like, what the fuck, like, what's with molesting kids? I mean, it's really out there. But like, Hubbard talks about how, you know, like, certain people are puppets of these entities pretty much. And this thing here, I think this guy's talking about these entities, because these entities are not just controlling the evil people here on Earth. I imagine they're doing it on other planets as well, and possibly in other dimensions or other universes and stuff. There's some other group out there that's going in and tapping in and affecting the minds of people and getting them to act evil. Because I always thought, what's evil? And you keep on investigating it, and this is where you come to as an answer as to what evil is. Right? So here we're going to hear, like, what is evil? What is the implanters and stuff? And in OT8, you deal with, apparently you pretty much remote view, which is, I guess, just travel on the time track. It's the same thing. And you influence, because I heard some guy who studied all this metaphysical stuff, and he wasn't afraid to talk about it, and he actually explained what OT8 was, and I was like, wow, that makes sense and stuff. And it's basically like, you remote view these beings tampering with our universe or Earth, and then you remote influence them or something, and you somehow stop them from fucking our shit up or whatever. So, because we also remote influencing exists, which is where you're not just viewing something in the past or whatever, you're actually influencing that thing. So if it's a person, you're talking to it and you're trying to get it to change its mind or something. So part of OTA is you go and you handle this incident, like wherever it was, like millions, like 80 million years ago or whatever, when it first happened or whatever. You go in there and you communicate and you mess with it so that it stops what's happening right here, right now. And you notice after OTA got released, like the world really improved, and like communism got defeated and stuff, and vaccines were, came out after that. Like there were some things that still came out that were evil, but like we noticed that the internet came out after that, and the internet's brought about this mass awakening. And if you look at it from 1988 onwards, the amount of improvements that's come, like for example, all these people saying they're here on a mission to save Earth and stuff, this could be part of it. Like it's just like the idea that OT8 has saved planet Earth actually does make sense, and there's evidence to back it up. And I don't think it's ridiculous to say that all these people doing OT8 has saved Earth. Because these things are possible. And you'll notice that the papers are actually talking about Area 51. Like there was a big Area 51 event last year. Like people are actually finding out about this stuff. It's amazing. It really is here, the mass awakening. And it's taken a lot of time, but it seems to have sort of first started to happen after 1988. What caused the mass awakening? The freaking internet. And the internet the government had. But finally, right, they had it for ages. They had CD-ROMs back in the 60s, right? After 1988, suddenly we got the internet, and it wasn't completely controlled from the start. And so suddenly we could communicate and we could advance. So it seriously makes sense that OT8 is great and it has saved planet Earth. And you could say that Hubbard has saved Earth, and you wouldn't be lying, you know? And you might also think that that's ridiculous, but here's the thing. If you've got, I don't know how many people did OT8, like 1,000 or whatever, and they are like powerful OTs, and they think that they're saving the Earth, that in itself can save the Earth. Like your thoughts really can create reality, right? And so, anyway, so even if the auditing didn't work, if all these people were doing this auditing on OT8 and they were thinking that it was saving the Earth, then it can save the Earth. So it's interesting. But here, let's hear about these beings.
Accounts of organic entities that exist in conquest, sort of like the fuel for the expanding empire.
Let's hear about,
empowers the massive
we're going to hear
system.
about the people who are setting up this soul reincarnation
So who's
trap.
responsible?
Who's responsible?
According to this, a council of organic entities that exist in a sort of timeless bubble, or timeless bubbles of void zones.
That's what LRH says. He goes, they were outside of the meshed universe. They're outside time. So the fact that they're exterior to time means that they can really do shit. Hold on.
Their influence on other time. So who is responsible? According to this, a council of organic entities that exist in a sort of timeless bubble, or timeless bubbles of void zones, from where they exert their influence on other timelines, essentially immortal. They've set themselves up as gods and view themselves as such, believing in having authority to control their very evil, service to self. Eyes are blazing white. When the viewers remote view these beings, they are aware of being viewed, but they are dismissive of the viewers. It's of no relevance to them. They're bent on conquest and perpetuating a system of control.
The controllers.
That's the comment.
That's remote viewing the controllers, which Scientologists talk about a lot.
You
The
should
controllers.
read Ingo Swann's work. You should also read the famous blog, John Lear gets on Above Top Secret blog, talking about remote viewing this body or this soul that went to the moon. It's like Moon Recycling Center. And if you look at some of the Baba Chakra, ancient Hindu, Wheel of Fortune, Wheel of Destiny, Wheel of Life, etc., it shows the moon being of liberation, but all, and oftentimes Buddha's pointing at the moon. I've got a modern version with Thoth pointing at the moon.
All right, well, that's about it. So I'll put a link to this in the comment section as well, because I think this is important. Yeah, I think that's like some serious hardcore data about what's actually going on. So what does that say is going on? And this is what backs up what LRH was saying is the truth in OT8, the truth revealed. This is saying that there's beings that are outside time that are like gods that are setting up the soul reincarnation trap, that are responsible for it, and they're like dominating over us or something. And what does LRH say in OTA is that, like, the SPs you see on Earth are just puppets for these beings. These beings are controlling their bodies and making them, you know, be like Hillary Clinton and walk around and set things up and stuff. And what does David Icke say? David Icke says there's these reptilians that are like controlling the Queen's body and these top elite people and making them be evil pedophiles and set up the New World Order, right? And that they've got these characteristics of control, dominate, control, this whole idea, like they're just mean, evil SP guys. So that's what's going on here on Earth, okay? We've got a prison, which these super cold-hearted, evil dudes have set up. And they've set it up using people within this matrix, by controlling the minds of people within this matrix. And so when you die, you need to be aware that you can get trapped into this prison again. And when you die, you probably should try and go somewhere else real cool and stuff. And you should probably get more of an idea what the soul reincarnation traps are made up of, so that you know to avoid them when you're dead, basically. So that's it. That's the end of this briefing. It's really hardcore, mega deep data that Earthlings this is a part of the mass awakening, you know. We wouldn't have this data back in the 80s and stuff. Like, this is just hardcore data as to what is really going on and where is it coming from, you know. It's amazing. It's amazing that we're getting it. We're actually getting answers about our lives here on Earth. It's not just all a mystery, you know what I mean? Like, what happens to you when you die? Is God real? What causes evil? You know, all these sorts of things. They're not mysteries anymore. We're actually getting answers to these things. Like, we know what's happening, what's going to go on, you know. And I don't have the other dimensions mapped. I don't know exactly what's going to happen when I die. I don't know if I can see everything and that, but I have ideas. You know what I mean? And at least we're past that stage of not believing we are spirits, because that's the super dumbed down stage. That's like the dumbest level you can be at. That's where like the atheists are at, those mainstream scientists. They're at the dumbest level. They don't even believe they're a spirit. I mean, that's just so dumb. It's mind-boggling, right? We're at least above that. And then we know about the soul reincarnation. So we're even the next level above that. And then we know that there are good and bad realms, so we're even higher up, and like then, you know, we just need to, I guess, be able to work out if we can navigate these realms. And I imagine doing Scientology would help with your abilities to navigate the spiritual world, and then also doing remote viewing, because they literally navigate. They'll remote view. It's sort of like they're leaving their body, but they'll remote view and they'll be somewhere and they move around in that location. So they're learning how to control themselves spiritually. So they're like little ducklings that are leaving the nest and going and flying in their wings. And the nest is our bodies, and we're so used to being in our bodies that when we die, we're just like, whoa, what the hell? But these remote viewers, I bet you when they die, and Scientologists are more like this as well, because they practice exteriorization and stuff. When Scientologists and remote viewers die, they at least have some experience of flying around and flapping their wings a bit, so they're not going to be like, what the hell's happening to me? What's going on, when they're in the spiritual realm? So that's why, you know, that's why it's like, I don't know why people are interested in snowboarding when there's just way more interesting stuff going on. Anyway, that's it for this briefing. I'll just check if there's anything more. One last thing. This is really interesting. Some remote viewers looked into Corey Good, right? And they found out that he was, like, they looked into Corey Good says that he can see some blue avian aliens, and there seems to be a lot of evidence that Corey Good's like just a disinfo agent or whatever. Maybe he's not a bad person, maybe he's just a victim, but he's, you know, I wouldn't trust his information. But the remote viewers looked into Corey Good, and it did come back that he was being manipulated or whatever, or like it was like his mind was being messed with or whatever, or that the aliens that he was seeing, these blue avians, aren't really good aliens, because his idea that he was getting contacted by these blue avians, and who the hell's heard about blue avians, right? Like, there's just in ufology there's just no talk about blue avians, right? And like it seems like he is a victim of government, disinformation, and he's had his mind messed with. And that's what I thought about Corey Good from pretty much from the start. Like, the information he says just seems a bit dodgy, and like the blue avians, what the hell? And so basically, remote viewers looked into him, and they came back with answers about Corey Good that were not saying that he's the real deal. That he's being manipulated and stuff. Anyway, so that's good. That's good data to back up, Corey Good. That's why it would be cool to learn this remote viewing ability, because I'll be like, oh, let's look into this person and see if they really are the reincarnation of LRH, or let's look into this and see if there's aliens in our underground base. I'll use it for all these cool little things, and so these people use it for a cool thing to look into Corey Good, and it's shit. The data came back that he's not really that good. Like, he's being manipulated, basically. The government's messing with his mind. Someone's giving him these experiences so that he thinks that he's like this special person that's being contacted and stuff. Anyway, that's it for this briefing. I've been your host, Andy Ultra Space Cowboy. This has been the Indie Scientology podcast. So remember, what you thought was impossible is possible.